We're we're ready.
Hey, okay. Hello, my name is Ryan Ellis, and I am pleased to be the interlocutor, the ombudsman, the intermediary between Mr. Joe Alterman and Mr. Lee Canby today.
Uh,
And,
hey, so nice to meet you.
and just to introduce Mr. Alterman, and then I guess I'll introduce Lee. Atlanta-born recording star Joe Alterman plays piano with the strength of 10 men and has carved himself enough space in the jazz world to swing a cat, to borrow from Marlon Brando. Joe left his southern home for New York City to attend NYU and has been close company of many greats that shaped his art. I won't mention any names. Les McCann, Ramsey Lewis, Ahmed Jamal, Joe's three wise men, bearing gifts of future gold records, frank advice, and miraculous class. Rounding out the list of Joe's shared credits, Oscar Peterson, Sonny Rollins, and Wynton Marsalis, with many more unnamed and to come. Mr. Alterman took from his heroes while also shaping his own unique sound that feels at home in the brisk city or in the balmy South. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Atlanta or New York?
Atlanta today.
All the way from Atlanta, Georgia, please welcome for the full hour, Mr. Joe Alterman.
Hey.
And rousing applause.
Well, thank you, everyone.
And that's Joe, and then Lee Canby. Where do I begin? Again, what can I say? He is, as recognized by the city of Detroit in 2011 by the Detroit City Council in a testimonial resolution, he's the first Black record store owner in America to buy records in bulk direct from the record manufacturer, which gave him unique clout in the industry. Where I've never heard this before. I've talked to a million artists. I'd love to see if you have. Lee could call up a record label after a record was printed and already on the markets and say, I don't like that track listing. It should be this, this, and that. And they would, even against the wishes of the artist, reprint the record, and they trusted his ear. Wow. And Lee's not even a musician. He went to the opening of the first cafe in Michigan, opened by Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter. I'm missing that fifth name. The Minor Key. And met Miles Davis. Miles thought he was a musician and gave priceless advice. What was Miles Davis' advice to you?
He told me, well, yes, was a musician. I told him I wasn't, but I like to play. And he says, whatever you play it pretty.
It's good advice.
Downstairs in the room there with Herbie Hancock, Tony Williams, Dr. Tony Williams just started playing with Miles. And he was traveling with him. And we was down there talking. Miles came down and shot about it. So I was afraid, I got excited because Miles at the time he came out, he was in the hospital before in California, and Dave Brubeck was driving along past near the hospital. He went by and saw him unexpectedly, and he told Miles, yes, see, I was driving in, I just started to come so high. Miles said, what for? And the argument. And they said that's why he talked like that. I don't know if it's true or not. That's what he started talking before he was supposed to talk. Just got Dave Brubeck.
Wow.
So Lee Canby, you're going fides. Joe Alterman, you have yours, but something you two share is Les McCann. Lee, you met Les McCann February 1962.
Yeah, well, what happened is some guys traveled from here, California, and they met Les McCann out there. And they was going to Cass High School. And they came by in the evening, and they would come in the store, and we wanted to keep them there. So we said we had all the records that you guys said, but you know how this called Les McCann called Shout.
Yeah.
He was on Pacific Jazz. That was West Coast music. They didn't play back then, but they didn't airplay. So we played it, a little short tune, and Scott got a hit out of that. And Les McCann came in town on a promotion tour, and he got a job while he was here, and we became friends. Like that. Paul Humphrey, the drummer, also was from Detroit, and he and I were like brothers. That's the Cadillac.
You're selling yourself short. Not only did he give Lee his mom's car, he gave Lee a house
Yeah.
When Lee fell on the hardest times in his life, he's like, here, have a house. And
Wow.
he not just
Oh
not
my
only
God.
lived there, but was able to make money renting it out. You know, when everything went south for him, you know, his is a rags to riches to rags story. His great grandfather that he was alive when he was alive was a former American slave. He was a father and a husband before he finished ninth grade. Grew up in Jim Crow South with everything that came with it. Comes up to Detroit, arguably the first above board black record store owner in Michigan. Motown starts in his store. Marched with Dr. King in 1963, June of 1963. Friends with Rosa Parks' lawyer. You know, so it had this amazing, successful record store. But then one day, the city of Detroit, after 25 golden years here in the city, says, "Oh, thank you for your service. Instead of giving you a plaque of this or that, wherever, you have to vacate the premises within 2 weeks. Eminent domain. We're going to tear down the building, build something else there. Thank you very much. Have a nice day." They didn't pay him for a year and a half. They were supposed to pay him in 2 weeks, and then he fell on hard times. So Paul Humphrey came through in that terrible time and helped him out. You know, true friends. They really were close.
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
oh man, I'm so sorry I had to deal with that, but I'm
Yeah,
happy
it's
it was there.
just that, you know, that just one of the things happened in life, you know. All that, you know, going. But anyway, Paul was there. There was a lot of stuff was up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came out of the woodworks. Yeah.
Is it possible to turn the mic up just a little bit? Just a tad, just a
make
tad.
us louder.
Well, maybe his mic actually. Yeah.
Well, here, I'll bring the thing closer because I don't have my mic. I don't have like a mic with me. So here, let me just do like this.
That's cool. That works. Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
He's the main attraction, so let's put it right on top. All right.
Now we're close.
Right.
Wow.
Well, how did you get to? You met Les McCann at NYU when you went to college.
Yeah, it's a funny story a bit. I grew up in Atlanta and just loved Les's music, and I was always taking piano lessons and being told things not to do on the piano. And Les seemed to be doing all those things, and he sounded so good. So he kind of, you know, gave me a confidence to be me even before we met. But then luckily I got to open for him when I was a student at NYU, and I started becoming an opening act at the Blue Note. And so they had me be his opening act. And yeah, he came up to the stage out, and I remember being so nervous because I was about to meet my hero. And he came up and he just said, he said, "Play me some blues, boy," like really intimidating. And
man,
and after a minute or two, he's like, "Amen." So I knew I was doing something okay.
Oh man.
But then he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Joe Alterman." He said, "Alterman, are you a rabbi?" And I said, "No, but I was trying to think of what to say. He said, "Well, you a Hebrew?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, from now on, you're my Hebrew." And
man,
we talked every day for the next 12 years until he passed in December.
Wow. Good guy, man. When he come in town, we always come to my house, you know.
Wow.
Around in the city. And
oh my God.
Go every day, you know. And
did y'all ever play tennis?
At night, when you play at night, I would go to the club and sit there and watch him play. 3 shows on weekend, and then we go home at night, you know, and we all hung out together very much.
Oh my gosh. Was that Baker's Keyboard Lounge?
Wow.
He played Baker's. Yeah. Yeah. It was Baker's, and we had Minor Keys. He didn't come to the concerts.
Wow.
It was big in the 70s and 80s. At big arena.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Lou would come in, they all come in together.
Lou Rawls. Yeah. The nickname was BK Lounge, you guys would call it back in the day, the BK Lounge.
Wow.
So just to you know, as you know, Joe, and maybe Lee doesn't know, I found this out. Cannonball Adderley, another one of Lee's friends, offered Les McCann a spot in his band, but Les McCann declined, choosing instead to carve out his own sound with his own band. I'm not sure if you knew that.
I
Lee
didn't know that.
Lee broke I'm sorry,
Cannonball.
Cannonball Adderley on the radio with
First tune was called This Year. That was the
Yeah.
first guy I played. Well, he was around, Cannonball was around a long time, but they wasn't making money. Any jazz, all the jazz people, they wasn't making money back in the day. They didn't get any gigs. You had to go to New York, right?
Yeah.
They go to New York.
Well, I mean, even now, you had to go to New
Now you
York
have to go to New York.
from Atlanta. You know, I mean, I guess you're back in Atlanta. I don't know.
Well,
How does that work?
Well, now you could be anywhere now. You can turn a tape in, but back then,
Oh.
you know, the club was in New York.
Well, there's a question for you, Mr. A. Is music scene based, like this city or that city, or can you be around the world and just post it on the internet? Like how does that work nowadays?
But I think what I've heard from people like Les and Ramsey Lewis, people like that, was that I'm lucky in the sense that I don't have to live in New York anymore, where they felt like they did to live in New York. I feel like a lot of cities have their own little scene, and it's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know what it really felt like to be back in New York, be in New York in those days. But I know that I was there for 10 years, and I know I couldn't have gotten that education anywhere else. So I'm so glad.
Wow. Just yesterday was the last day of the Detroit Jazz Festival. Am I coming through fine, or
yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every year, because I've been doing street photography in Detroit for I guess it'll be 9 years this coming January. I notice every year little bit less and less people at the Detroit Jazz. You know, at least locally, our scene sort of seems to be petering out. Like, how is it there in Atlanta, the jazz scene?
It's a good. I mean, it depends who's playing, I guess.
It depends on playing, but now it's a different scene. Everybody like rock now.
Right.
Like Taylor Swift, you know, that kind of thing. She just act
Right.
out that probably. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But, you know, I don't know what song, Shake It Off, something like that.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, you know, so you got to have the audience. And,
Totally.
and they're the one who get the big deals. Now, jazz people, they get small deals now. In the 70s, they started doing concerts. They don't do concerts anymore back in the day.
Right. And
I don't know.
oh, you're right. And I feel like a lot of musicians these days, when we talk about Les played for the people, whereas a lot of musicians, they play for musicians.
Right,
You know?
Well, yeah.
They play the way they feel that night. But when you got to touch the stadium.
Yeah.
Right, you don't get to call back, you know?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. You got to have a hit out. If you don't have a hit out and get it out there, nobody knows about you anyway.
Right. Well, speaking of Les playing for the people, compared to what was a Vietnam War protest song and Les McCann's first big hit, do you remember compared to what when it came out?
Yeah, because I used to go to the club every night with him, and he started saying, "God damn it!" You know, back in the days, it was illegal to first on that, right? But it compared to what he did, you know, compared to what he did a lot of things that way, right?
Oh yeah, he told me too, when the song came out, he said that it has the word "God damn it" and it has the word abortion in it. And he said back when it came out, they would let the word "God damn it" play on some stations, but they bleeped the word abortion. And now it's flipped. Yeah.
In the 60s and 70s, you even say anything profane on the radio, they would try to you know?
Right.
But that soon left out. You know?
Well, let me jump in. Speaking of Vietnam War protest songs, this is an incredibly unique fun fact, but the most popular, it's weird to call a protest song popular, you know, considering what it's about. The most famous protest song in the Vietnam War, who, what is it good for? You know, that one was written by, what's that guy's name? The guy you broke on, Edwin Starr, but you broke, no, it was performed by Edwin Starr, but written by the guy who broke on the radio, who is the host who broke on the radio?
LeBaron Taylor?
Yeah, LeBaron Taylor. So this is a fun fact for you. One day in Detroit, the radio host DJ didn't show up, and LeBaron Taylor, just some guy, engineer in the Detroit radio station, and someone's got to just say something on the air, like at some point. And so he gets on the air because the guy didn't show up. All these calls start coming in. Lee was sponsoring the show, his record store, basically paying what?
The way it was really that his name was LeBaron Taylor. He was the engineer. And so when the station got in show for work, but it put in 3 tapes, and then the tape ran out. So LeBron had to respond to on the radio.
Continuity, yeah,
Right.
like between
And we
things.
were sponsoring the show at that time. At that time, I think we were the first rock and roll
Wow.
who sponsored the show
On radio.
on radio.
But the
And so people would call in, people would call us, and they liked it for us.
Keywell was his boss originally at the store
And yeah,
before he
that's
took
how
over.
we learned that stuff.
And Florence Keywell was Jewish, by the way, and helped Lee start the store. So how do you say it? LeBaron Taylor becomes a hit radio DJ, writes songs, including he wrote War for Edwin Starr. And after 9/11, it was one of 200 songs banned off the radio because it was too anti-war for the times. But no, like a song wouldn't exist, the most famous protest song, without Lee Kennedy here.
I didn't know that all of the song was
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I didn't know LeBaron Brooks tune until you told me, but I know
Yeah.
he was involved with the station
right.
because it wasn't announced very much that they did things like that because it's called conflicting interest. Couldn't do anything those days.
Like payola and all that stuff.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But-
wow.
But they always someone got around it, you know. So
Oh, wow.
Butterball had floaters. It was a good shot.
So here's a question for you, Mr. Alterman. Les McCann played The Truth. Do you play The Truth?
I played The Truth with Les. Yeah, I played that song with Les.
Oh, really? Yeah, his
Yeah.
debut, yeah.
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier, you mentioned compared to what? I actually had a question about that, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
yes, please.
Yeah. You know, Les told me at one point that there was a period when that song really took off, when he felt it was on the radio all the time. And I really don't know the whole story, but there was this ties into Detroit because he said it was during a period when a lot of stations were not playing Berry Gordy Motown stuff. And I don't know what the band was about, but they were playing compared to what instead a lot. And does this ring any bells to you or sound familiar?
I never
No.
heard of that.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of guys would go around here, like in a barber shop, you know what's going on in the city.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
hey,
didn't know that were conflicted with.
yeah.
Well,
Well, hey, it was worth a shot.
Right. Yeah. No, but the Motown songwriters would stop by his store all the time. It was right in front of a bus stop. Like there's a famous story of one of them. He went to a nearby park, Belle Isle, recorded birds, just almost like the original indie recordings. Like we put like found sounds.
Oh.
And that was Norman Whitfield. Norman Whitfield would come out the store every day because his mother worked across the street of the Hudson.
The biggest department store in the world.
Strong was writing for the Temptation in the beginning.
Yeah.
He wrote, "I Wish It Would Rain."
Yeah.
All that, something like that. At that time, Berry Gordy had different one right for different artists. Holland wrote for Brian. I just don't remember who did exactly wrote for, but anyway, that's where it was then,
Wow.
So he was right for the Temptation, so he would come by the store every morning, drop his mother off, and he'd come in the store and we talked. So he went to Belle Isle, he took the pigeon, and he came back to the store and called me out to the car, played it on a tape recorder. He said, "I'm gonna put this on the record." And when the song come on, "I Wish It Would Rain," the birds start chirping.
Yeah.
And that's how he got that.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. That is so
Norman would come down every day just about.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of
Then
stories
he
like
went
that.
to California. I think he passed away in California.
Oh, and I think while we're on these, get to a jazz story. Where to begin? I always like the Canuck looked up and saw Coltrane. So Lee was best friends, or at least I say best friends, close friends with John Coltrane. And one day there was this Canadian man, because Canada's like right across the Detroit River, visiting the store, because Lee's was like the jazz hotspot.
Yeah.
And Billboard magazine called him a fan of all that jazz. And a Canadian guy comes over and starts talking about Coltrane, turns around and there's Coltrane.
Yeah.
And he fainted. He fainted when he saw.
I introduced him to Coltrane. He was a Canadian guy. They would come over my store every Saturday, walk the bridge, and they would come by the store, and we got to be friends. So they had a concert at Cobo Hall, and Coltrane was down there. I don't know what week. I don't know. Anyway, he walked up to me, and I introduced him. It's like this very time. He was a young kid. He was so
He's so excited.
just aged up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Must have thought he had died. You wake up, there's Coltrane standing like, thought you were dreaming.
That was during the time we came out, My Favorite Things.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was a big record, My Favorite Things, a big song.
All those notes he fits in there.
Yeah.
That's
well,
yeah.
let me ask you like a songwriting question before so many stories we can get to about Lee, which we will if we have time. Certainly do right now. So aleatoricism is in music like the introducing randomness or chance to music, and I feel like of all the genres, maybe jazz is the most fitted to that purpose. How you say you have obsessive compulsive disorder, so how can you relax yourself enough to just let anything happen, or instead of just being stayed on the rote notes?
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot of work to get to not be so obsessive compulsive, so I don't really, that doesn't affect every day.
Okay.
Yeah, to me that was really something that I see obsessive compulsive disorder as this thing, like something living inside of you, and the way you kill it is you don't listen to it. So it took a long time of not listening to it to, it's still there, but it's small, it's very small now. So now when I get the urge to do something, I just say, shut up. And the piano even when I was going through hard times with that, the piano was always the antidote. It was like, here's where I let out all of my frustration or hard time, or it was always an outlet for me. It never was part of the thing, if that makes sense.
I have no proof of this. Maybe I can talk to his family, but Jimi Hendrix, a lot of the people that knew him as relatives said that when he was a child there in Seattle, growing up in Washington, he had a hard scrabble life. I think he grew up without a father, and people said he used to just sit on his porch and weep for like long stretches of time, just very sad, very emotional, sensitive young man. And you have to imagine later on when he's playing those screaming, guitar solos, maybe there's a little bit of that finding its way into his music. And you said, when meeting your heroes, Les McCann included, they said, you don't have the background that we do to play this sort of music. So
that's not what they said though.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what was the correct quote?
The correct quote was, I wanted to sound like them. And
they said, right.
Yeah, they said, you'll never sound like me because we haven't lived the same life. So lean into your life.
Yeah. So like, what's the tie connection between your life and like how it comes out in your music? Yeah, like almost me, like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like the whole purpose of doing this is, I went into it wanting to sound like all the people that I love on records, but I got to learn from them, a lot of them, and their message was really, you're missing the whole point of our music if that's your goal, because the point of this music is to discover who you are through the music, not to try to sound like us. So that was not, I didn't.
That don't sound.
Right.
Exactly. And that's why we like these people, because they
I can tell Miles and Freddie, a lot of kids I can tell here, you've done that,
Yeah.
We used to go out, we started out with friends, we'd have a jam session. You bring so many albums, I bring 2 or 3, whatever. We don't tell what each one brings. Then we put it on the record. Jazz, you know who that's playing. You know the drum player, you know the piano player.
Yeah.
Some you do and some you don't. You don't know everybody, but everybody, your favorite, you know your favorite.
Yes.
I know anywhere I hear. I know anywhere I hear. I know Mark.
Right.
I know McCoy Kang. I know Evan Jones, Mike Stewart. So a lot of cats I know, you the same way, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On rip.
Yeah. They got their thing. And
Like Coleman Hawkins, every time he plays Biting Soul, he does the same solo, right?
yeah, yeah. But I want to ask you, one of my favorites ever was whenever Detroit would come up with Les or Ramsey, both of us would have to talk about Hank Jones. Like we just all love Hank Jones. Did
And
you know
John,
Hank Jones? Yeah.
yeah, piano, he's from the Mission, Detroit. And John, there's three of them.
Yeah. Hank, Elvin, and Thad.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's home, you know. And Evan Jones, we hang out together. You know, right. And McCoy Tiny, man, nobody can play like, well, nobody can play like nobody anyway.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody like mine. There's a lot of duplicates.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be like Miles. Want to be like, you know, remember back in the day, you might not remember that, but we take 5 minutes to break for Miles going to join. That thing, everybody take 5.
Yeah. What would you say? One. This one's for Miles or something like that.
This one for Miles. Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh man. Who was the first person to ever give you a job in the hard tech trade of jazz? Who started you out?
That's a good. It was when I was in high school. I used to play a lot of little private events in Atlanta. I don't remember what it was, but it was all these kind of gala kind of things where I'd play like the cocktail hour, but people were not coming to hear me. They just were happening to be there. I think the first time I played somewhere where people would come to see me was like at a Starbucks or something.
Wow, still.
That's Starbucks great. Would have some music in New York when I moved up there, and
man,
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they do that anymore. Do you think it still do that Starbucks?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I used to travel the country in a pop band, and we played at Hot Topics all over the country. In fact, we were the #1 selling unsigned band in America at Hot Topics. So, but they don't do that anymore. They stopped it because whatever reason, corporate just changed their mind on things. Is it like getting on a bike when you go into the studio, or are you still learning to be the best studio bum?
Well, I don't know. There's different things with the studio that I get adjusted to. Like to me, if every show I play, if I could just record all my albums live, I would love that because audience, you don't, there's many times when I'll go in a studio and you're playing on this beautiful Steinway, but through the headphones, it sounds like a toy or something. And it's hard too to get for me, it's hard to get the energy up when you're not in front of anyone.
Right.
That's what I feel comfortable with music, like when the music, I'm getting better at this over the years, but that's kind of what's hard for me in a studio. But the musicians I play with, everyone has their own challenges in a studio. But
so to the live side of things, how quickly do you know live on stage that you have something special cooking up? When do you know that you're cooking with gas?
Well, I guess, I mean, every song's like a new a new start, but it's never like going up and thinking like, are we going to be able to play? Like we could play stuff and we could, even if it doesn't feel like a good night to me, most people in the audience won't know.
That's very true. Yeah.
So I think we're just like, I'm extra critical of myself, but I think most of the time, what I think is a bad show, no one in the audience really knows
wow. Yeah, your standards for yourself are so high, so lofty. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think too, I remember asking maybe like this. I asked Ramsey Lewis one time if he ever got nervous before a gig, and he said, "Joe, it's not nerves, it's professional anticipation."
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah,
but he's right. It's you're a pro, so you're not. The question is not will my fingers move today. It's just how happy will I be with what my fingers did today?
Right.
Yeah.
Ramsey, remember Dan Crowd?
Yeah.
From over there, he came in the store. He came by to see about 3 or 4 times. You know, we got
Really? Oh man. I bet you sold a lot of his records.
oh yeah, we did because Ramsey Lewis, personally, I didn't like Ramsey. You know, he was too easy.
Mm,
People just learn and play jazz like
I know what you mean.
Ramsey Lewis. They wasn't progressive enough. I like the more like Oscar Peterson. Oscar Peterson was now he came by to see me too. He's a blind guy. He had a little small car. He was putting money in the parking meter. I walked by. He said, "You know what my mom used to do?" I said, "Oscar Peterson." He didn't see me, and I didn't know him. You know. But anyway, I like the more progressive jazz. Like my favorite. I like everybody, but I'm talking about my favorite. Collect. You know. Mark, McCoy County, stuff like
yeah.
that. You know?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Did you meet Monk?
Ramsey, huh?
Did you meet Monk? Thelonious
Yeah,
Monk?
Doris Monk.
No, did you meet Monk?
Oh no, I didn't know.
But,
In fact, he at that time they wasn't traveling. You know, he was spread out. In fact, he died in Nikkor, and he was staying with somebody out of the country, white.
One of the Rothschilds, I think,
Right,
took care of him most of his life. Yeah.
Yeah. And he would go round in circles.
I heard of Nika, that was her name, the Baroness.
Yeah. She discovered him like early on, and basically most of his life, or half his life at least, paid for everything and gave him his whole career as we know it.
There's a number of guys, the jazz people, they didn't make any money, man. So gone. I'm talking about my you know, they didn't get to get it. They did once a year. Wow. And then jazz didn't sell out nobody. You know, they started selling out in the 70s, I guess, 80s. Like Ramsey Lewis, he went around in circles, you know, for granted, he made it. Because he was easy stuff, he just didn't get it. But like Thelonious Monk, they were starving, they got to leave the country to get it, right?
Wow, yeah.
And when Cannonball came out with this series got on the radio, I think that was the first jazz record that made it play it. And WCW. And then they started playing because they came by and met the whole team. I was there every night. You know.
Wow.
Oh, and Yusuf's been by too. Yusuf writing letters, sending me all the time. He'd send me cards.
Yusuf Lateef. Yeah, wow. He'd address it, you know, brotherly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because before then, jazz wasn't getting no play. And when Miles Davis did Kind of Blue, when that came out, he was in Detroit. He was over here time in Detroit.
Wow.
A club called the Bluebird.
He knows the cross streets even, yeah.
Wow. Oh man.
So that's what jazz wasn't getting in the airplay. And then if they get a gig, y'all was late.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you always talk about how Kenny G was like the first millionaire finally in jazz. Like even Miles Davis, all these guys kind of struggled either to make money or keep the money.
Well, the white players, they made money. They got gigs because they could pack the club. Right. If you didn't get a white audience, you didn't, you know, and black they got white audience, and most of what they got is white audience. Really. You know.
Yeah.
It's not enough. I don't know what it is, but you got second, they fill it up. Break out your side, you know.
Yeah.
Jazz nowadays it's very hard. You don't have a record out, you know. And then too, back in the day, nobody really recorded you. Back in the day, jazz was on Blue Note. It's good jazz. Then they faded away, you know. When Hancock came out with Lee Morgan, Sidewine, that's so
oh, I bet.
Rock and roll. Right?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's what I said, because it went to the bank.
Right. Let me ask you a question. You, Mr. Alterman, you appreciate the greats from the past, and you try to do it your own way, but I'm sure you look to them and as you play. What current artists today would you recommend to Lee, you know, someone of Lee's taste of, you know, he likes all these classic players. Who today, besides yourself, is kind of keeping up that mantle?
Well, there's a wonderful pianist I really like named Champion Fulton. She's
Okay.
great. But I think there's an artist I really like. He's kind of a blend of jazz and gospel in a way, and his name is
Ooh,
PJ Morton, and he is just fantastic. I
okay.
really, really like him. He's one of my favorites right now. I also really like this guy. He plays the piano and the organ. His name is Corey Henry.
Okay.
But those two are like great, I think.
We will be listening to them because we take your advice as
I hope you
gospel.
like it. I hope you like it.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna check you out too.
I
Yes.
hope you like that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, I just wanted to Les used to get such a kick out. You mentioned Yusef Lateef. And Les recorded with Yusef, and I guess he didn't know whenever he wanted a good laugh, he'd always ask me, do you know Yusef Lateef's birth name? Do you know his birth name?
No, because we always wonder where you get the name from.
Oh yeah, well then
He
I'll
always played different instrument, funny instrument. You know?
yeah.
And a guy named like Roy Bush, you know Roy Bush, the drummer?
Yeah, drummer, yeah.
He used to play a saw, you know, cut wood with,
Yeah.
bring it around here, play that.
Whoa.
But, you know, to play anything, you know, what is music? Be between two sounds, right?
Yeah. Well, who said that? I always forget.
I think that's
yeah.
the definition.
Curtis Mayfield. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Be between two sounds, not
Right.
one sound.
Right.
Rap is one sound.
Right.
But it's considered music. You know, back in the day, jazz wasn't considered music. So when you phrase, now it's called American music, right?
Right.
Well, wasn't taken seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they didn't recognize it. You know, like Charlie Parker, they went to die from drugs. You know, if you did drugs, there's nobody gonna play you.
Right.
I mean, right or wrong. That's what it was back in the day. I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's true. But let me tell you Yusef Lateef's birth name. It'll
Yes.
make
Yes. Please. I'm sorry. Yes.
his birth name was Bill Evans.
What?
I swear.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Les would laugh so hard every
Right.
time.
I always thought it was some African name.
Right.
Yeah. Bill Evans, like the what?
The
Yeah.
piano player.
Yeah.
Pianist, yeah.
The lady here lived in my building. No, Bill Evans.
Really?
I saw her
Dated
yesterday.
him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And has a lot of
I
yeah.
talked to her yesterday.
She's one person
She
from
lived
here I
in my
would
building.
really like to talk to. Yes.
She also played piano.
That's so cool. Wow.
Bill Evans, he's a player now. He plays.
More ways. Yeah.
And that's one cat you can tell whether he's white or black. When he played. Back in the day, you could tell a white player. But
Mm.
am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
They said he didn't have soul, but that isn't true.
Right.
Feeling. Anybody can have feeling. They got feeling. Back in the day, black, white couldn't dance. Let's talk. Like, now they can dance like Michael Jackson.
Right.
So you get where you by association.
Right.
So it's no different now.
Mm.
Pretty bad.
So I have a new band pitch for you. We're gonna start a band. Let's all become volunteer firemen and start a Beatles cover band called Clean Machine. No, when one talks about dust long enough, they always fall into sweeping statements. How important is it to play on a clean piano? You know, I try to wipe down my guitars before I play them. Is that a thing? You know, having wiped down your piano and all that stuff, affecting the sound and playability.
I mean, to me, it's just when you got greasy keys, when someone like ate French fries and sat down. That's the only thing that bothers me on a piano.
Oh, like if they share it right after someone else, yeah, and then you're kind of stuck slipping around the whole time.
Yeah, it slips. When it slips, it's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, because you talk about Steinways, like I've seen like church pianos, you have to like water them, like you know, like they have like an internal humidifier, like they get really fancy, sophisticated. Which musical cliche do you have an a special allergy to, if any? Like, is there a common tack or trick in music that you refuse to lean on? because it irks you in some way? And if so, how do you play around it when its use is available but avoided? Is there anything you avoid musically, or just you're freewheeling?
I try to not hit the wrong notes, but besides,
Right.
not really.
But if you do, you got another groove, take over.
Yeah, yeah.
They never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you tell them.
Yes. Everything's on the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one thing jazz is about, you can do that. But if you're playing classical, you never get the wrong note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, to that point, do you ever feel pressure to change the way that you play to go with the way that things are now, or do you focus your style differently? You know, do you follow trends at all, or you just do what you do?
Well, I'd really just do what I do, honestly, because I don't know how else to do it. And I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm not trying to, there's a lot of stuff I like to listen to, but don't really resonate with on the piano. And a lot of that's some of the trendy stuff today, honestly.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I just try to be me.
Does the friendliness of the South find its way into your music? And is it possible to play jazz in like a Southern gentleman?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, to me, I guess my goal as a kid was always just to move to New York and sound like a New York
Wow.
piano player. But
Yeah.
it took living in New York to realize I'm not going to be a New York piano player because I'm not a New York piano player. So,
Right.
yeah, I think I mean, a lot of times when I left New York, for example, I didn't tell a lot of people that I was moving. I just said I was going out of town or whatever. And then when I'd
Right.
come back to New York for a gig, a lot of people would say, man, it sounds like you've been down south for a little while. Like there's a little country in the
Wow.
music, which I like. But that's also, I mean,
Yeah.
Sennheiser and Ramsey got along so well because of the kind of country flair that hits our blues and jazz, I suppose.
Well, to that point, I can't pronounce the word, but you're involved in a
Oh, it's called
Jewish.
Nirvana now.
Yes, thank you. So you already are being the change you wish to see, and paying it forward. You are mentored by those three men and others. You know, certainly you're doing that for others. How has that worked out, and how did you get involved in that?
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of work in New York to get gigs because I realized you got to know people and stuff like that. You can't just play well. Um,
Interesting.
I mean, it's a business. That was the, music, and then when you get the gig, you got to draw people. And then if you want to be invited back, you got to draw. So so I realized like early on, like you got to do a lot away from the piano to get work at the piano. So I took like
Wow.
every odd job I could in New York around jazz. And I was working at the Blue Note in the office and like random, like other record labels and just anything I could do, music PR. And
Wow.
I really did that work just to get the gigs. And then I moved back to Atlanta and I realized I actually liked that work. I kind of missed it.
Wow.
And yeah, I met with the old head of the guy who used to run the organization, and he was thinking about stepping down, and I just decided I'd step up. I love it. I mean,
Wow.
it's great to be able to present music in town.
Yeah, I loved just looking at your credits and associations. Birdland, I think, is the name of your management company that you're with. You know, does that point back to Charlie Parker?
Yeah, it's the club that, I mean, it's not the same location of the Birdland that he played at, but it's the same brand or whatever.
Wow. And so you're connected with that legacy, and you're continuing it in your own way. That's just beautiful.
It's really special. I'm really
yeah. Yeah. Kind of goes beyond words. Yeah. Just the amazingness of it. It'd be funny if your real name was Bill Evans too, by the way.
That would. That would you too.
Maybe you should change, no, like a late career move, change it. I'd be remiss to not mention that you have a record. Not only, like, what is it? A recent Les McCann record you helped put out. Did you do the liner notes for them as well? And then also you've recorded Les's music. You did a whole album of Les's music. After we're done with this, I'm gonna play some of it for Lee. Yeah, just what led into that? Obviously, you're friends with Les McCann. You know, working on some of his music and playing his music. How did that all begin, and how is that going? Is there more to come? You know, your connection with Les.
Totally. I mean, me and Les had a really, 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 really special thing. Les, he would call. I remember the last gig I had before he passed away. I remember this was a very typical kind of conversation. I remember being on the phone with him, and I was like, or on FaceTime. I was like, Les, I gotta go. If I'm gonna make it to the gig on time, I gotta take a shower. And Les would say, man, how you gonna play funky if you take a shower? I mean, that was him. That's him. You know,
that's great.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he would FaceTime. He would often have me put the phone next to the piano on my gigs, and he would just be.
Oh,
it was so cool because he would be loving the music and just screaming and yelling. It was amazing. Like we had the best.
One day he wanted me to take him shopping, right? He wore a black suit, wore the same black suit every day. He didn't carry a suitcase. He said, I don't carry a suitcase. I wear the same suit. When he get up in the morning, he come to the store, he had on a black suit. When he go out to the club, he got on that black suit. He don't have it clean, he get another one. There's a store here called Robert Hall.
Wow.
There's a store called Robert Hall. The suit cost $9.95.
That's good.
$9. And I was, that's the truth.
It's Les.
That was a long time ago when I first met him. But,
oh, that was great. But I just get so excited when playing his tunes for him, you know, and it was fun. It was so fun.
He like put cologne on his shirt. Good. His fellas.
That's great.
He was crazy, man.
I've heard some stories, some crazy stories. That's great.
So good.
Wow.
That was driving down the street, you know. I was working on the street. He would call out the window. The windows rolled down.
Oh man.
He's funny. He
could have been a comedian. Oh yeah. Oh, he's great.
Right. Tony made it real compared to what?
Oh yes. Yeah. That was him. That's great.
But Paul, his drummer, played with Lawrence West, the first black that played. I think the only black that played in the band.
Lawrence Welk Band, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
He did a tune called Kool-Aid. You remember that?
The what?
The rock tune. Kool-Aid.
He also did the Welcome Back Kotter theme.
Oh, really?
And he did Joe Cocker with a little help from my friends. He's drums on that song, believe it. Yeah. And he plays Miles and all, a bunch of people.
Well, see, you could read music. Back in the day, they couldn't read a lot, right?
Yeah.
Jazz people. And see, that's what Charlie Parker did. He played with with strings. He played Summertime, April in Paris. When he started riffing.
Yeah.
They didn't know what he was doing, but he's playing. They didn't think he could read music, you know. But he went to school and could read music, and he come
Incredible. Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, we got to get you this new disc because it's got Paul Humphrey on it. Actually, this one.
Yeah, well, I got to see that, man. Yeah, his daughter danced at New Year's for the last what on New Year's. I mean, the last what show?
Paul Humphrey's daughter did.
His
Yeah.
daughter, she's about 9 years old at the time. I still have this picture tape for that. I might
Yeah.
give you today.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
But she's grown up now. She's a lawyer now. But I'm just saying, he was back in the day, Paul Humphrey.
Wow.
I want to be respectful of your time. We got less than 8 minutes left. So just as we wrap up, I'm going to wrap up and ask you my last questions. What was it? Wisdom and plugs, like any wisdom you can leave for people at home, and then any plugs for things that you're doing or people that you love that you want to like give them a shout out, like, check this out. And actually, let me find one more question before I ask that last question. Any questions that you have? You have way better questions than I do.
No, it's great. I just love hearing your stories.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. I love hearing your stories too. Keeping in the art world, the great American painter Whistler said when he visited Paris, art happens. Does art derive from heredity and environment and tradition, or does art just occur on its own?
Good question. I wish I knew the answer.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea. I just
hard ones getting right at the end. Yeah.
No, it's a great. I feel a little too in it to really be able to answer, because I just go over to the piano and I don't think about really how it happened.
Yeah.
But I do know with my OCD experience, I do feel like, because that was like such an outlet for me in that time, I do feel like when people say that like I have feeling in my music, I feel like that came from that experience. I could be wrong, but I don't know where, like, I don't have other people in my family that play music, so I don't know that.
Interesting.
But I have people in my family that love music, and can talk about it really, deeply and stuff. So I don't know what is the music, where it comes from, but I know I'm lucky to have the gift. It's a gift for sure.
It is. And so finally, leave the folks at home with a piece of wisdom, and then any plugs that you have for things that you're working on, like now, or what's next for you, and then anything else that other people are doing you want to give a shout out.
Sure. Well, I guess the wisdom thing, I heard a good one the other day. I liked this. It's good to keep in mind, because again, I mentioned that the music business is a business for me. I'm getting all my a lot of my gigs and doing a lot of emails and stuff. And, I just heard this quote. It was, the thing you do the most is the thing you do the best. So I like that.
That's right. Thing you do the most, thing you do the best.
Yeah. So
perfect.
Yes, definitely. It's a pretty heavy thing. There's that. And then I guess, if people want to have a listen to my music, I hope they'll check out my Les McCann album. It's called Big Mo and Little Joe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be getting one from you for
I'll send them up. Yeah, I can send some copies.
Thank you. Yes, I'll give you.
Give me your address.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, and anything else you can think of before we wrap up? You want to say or mention, or?
Well, there will be some other Les tributes coming, but I do really like an album of a friend of mine who just released a great album earlier this summer. Is this wonderful vocalist. Her name is Madeline Peru. So I just hope you'll check out her new album.
Yes, sir.
Really great.
She's singing, right?
Singer, yes. She's great. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Joe Alterman, you were so kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
It's a pleasure, man.
It's an honor to meet you, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is I'll send you the recording too.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm relying on that. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Joe. It's been an honor, and I hope your year goes the best ever, and not yet, because I hope it keeps getting better. So
well, thank you.
That's the river then.
Yes.
Keep on hanging.
Yes.
And you too. This is so special. Thank you both.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Good talking.